Yeah, here I am. It's Friday afternoon and time to get a new video out for you. So here I am on still on the Volkswagen van, of course, and I'm on my phone right now, getting my hands in the way of it. How do you make this switch around to the other side? Anybody know? Geez, these things are, apparently you can't switch over to the other side while you're talking on it, which is kind of, I don't know. Anyway, this is the phone because my other camera filled up. So what did I get done this week? I got, as you can see, anybody can see, there's primer on that. So I cleaned off I finished the welding, right? And then I cleaned off all of finished off most of the welding. There's still always going to be a little bit. There's a little bit right there and right there. And maybe one other spot right over there. So anyhow, but I decided I'd go after I cleaned off all that stuff, cleaned it up, and then I just put a coat of primer on the bare metal so that it's not going to be, flash rusting on me while it sits here and I'm doing other stuff. So everything's primed inside and out, and anywhere I could reach with the paint can, I've got it. It's all just a rattle can. Then after that, I decided I would go after fixing the front end up. So this is the passenger side of the front end. I've got it all apart, put new bushings in there and new shock absorber and stuff like that, and put back together. Now I started working. I haven't done the wheel hub assembly yet. I decided I'd do that afterwards because I've gone over to the other side here and got started on pulling this side here apart. So that's the light sitting there. I've got the wheel hub assembly off, and that was very, very, very difficult, and eventually it came. This side here is more rust on it than the other side. It must have been just sitting in the weather that way out in the field somewhere in Cape Breton, right? So this side here looks pretty good, and if I can make the other side look as good as this, I'll be a happy guy. New bushings all the way around, and including back inside there, this thing here. This was interesting to get the bushing on there. And new tie rod end. I've got new upper ball joint, new lower ball joint. And this thing here, I can't put that in there yet until I get the other side done. So anyway, that's it for now. And I hope you enjoy it. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now. Yeah, so it's time to start a new week here. Anyway, the back on the Volkswagen van. There's a big surprise. So on the van, there's a button. I cleaned off a lot of that yucco. Oh, I call it rock guard. I don't know for sure what the real name of it is. Cleaned all that off with a tool yesterday, and it looks pretty good. Now the next thing I'm going to do is, clean up in here because the floor is just covered with that yucco dust. Then I have to clean off, just sort of wash the van as well as I can. I've got a bucket full of water and soap over there, and then I've got my whatever you call that stuff, Windex. So we'll just clean it off, and then I'll put some, hey, you can see light right through there. Hey, I'll clean it off, then I'll put some, whatever you call that stuff, primer on it. There we go. Yeah, so there, I vacuumed all the dust out of it, and then I decided instead of having it come down off the roof, I might as well clean off the roof too. It's actually not in bad shape, the roof. That's encouraging. A little bit of this moldy stuff that'll come off all right. Yeah. Anyway, I'll let that be for now. It's all, there was a eighth inch of dust on the roof. And that likely doesn't bode well for my lights and stuff up there, but oh well. Yeah, there now I've gone around the outside of it and cleaned off all the, just wiped off all the dust with a damp cloth. And now I'll go around on the inside next. So one thing about today, I'll likely end up with cleaner hands at the end of the day than I started. There you go. Then I'll have to get some degreaser and see if I can get this cleaned out in there. But first I'll get all the dust up and out of it. Yeah, that's pretty clean. It's not spotless clean, but it's pretty clean. That's an awful lot cleaner than it was. Look at my hands. They're really clean. Anyhow, the more, and now what did I find? So I found right here, this is on the pedestal here. I found right here, I'm going to have to take the needle scaler to that, and just right in there looks like there's some rust in there, but I'll needle scale it. This one here, I did needle scale it and I thought it was okay, but it looks like it's there's a hole here and a hole right there, so I should perhaps have a closer look at that. I might just be able to drill that out and plug it with a plug and then just weld that up again. We'll just see what happens. Then, otherwise, that's the only, oh yeah, and one other spot, right there, where the paints are bubbling up a bit. So I'll take the needle scaler to those 3 spots and do them. But before I make all that dust happen again, which, you know, will happen again, then I'll go ahead and do up, what am I doing? I'll take the degreaser and degrease around all the metal bits, put a coat of primer on it, and that'll keep it good. I can carry on working then. Anyway, there you go. That's all I have for now. And the more I work on it and the more I get around it and clean it up, like that stuff that's been untouched since it was new, that original color, I like that original color. So I might just make it back to the original color. And that would look good and look like an original Volkswagen van. Hey, there you go. Because in 1978? No, would have been 1972 or 1972. Lauren Harper, a friend of mine and myself, drove one of these things out from PEI to, well, he went right to the west coast, to Vancouver Island, and I just got off in Lake Louise. And that was when I pretty well moved out west, was in one of these things. And it was a nice trip, and it was a lot of fun. The one we had at that time was a standard drive, so it likely was a 1972 variety of this. It wasn't the square body type, it was more rounded out. But that's the color that it was, that color there, which I like that color. So there we go. Yeah, so there's that degreaser stuff. That stuff's pretty toxic, so I'll get my rubber gloves out, and I have a tin can here I can put it in. So away I go, and I'll put on my mask, I think, too. There I am, the masked intruder, right? Anyhow, here we are. Let's see this. So I cleaned it all off with that stuff, and it's really smelly stuff. It's not likely not very good for your health. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead now and just put a coat of primer on it. I've just got 3 cans of this rust paint primer, which I think is pretty good for rusty mobile. Then once I get that all painted up, and that'll be sort of it for the day, then it'll be I'll get to work and, you know, clean up this stuff here and start making it ready for some body work. But I'd like to be able to get it back together soon so that I can get the wheels on it. Now, I wonder what soon is in this world. We'll see. That's my New Year's resolution, is to get this thing back on its wheels, right? Yeah, there it is. It's got a coat of primer everywhere now. So that should keep it from rusting, I hope. Even this underneath stuff that looks pretty ugly. So, everywhere that I did some welding, I got some primer on it. Now the next thing that I have to do is put a seam sealer in. And seam sealer, it'll catch any of the pinholes that I've missed. The seam sealer will get. Now you can see this is pretty lumpy bumpy, so it'll be a good skim of body work on that, but that's alright, we'll get that later. Everything else looks like it's set to go. Might use a little bit more right there. I'll just get the paint can out and do it a bit more. Yeah, I even did all the front here. Tiny bit more there. Yeah, there you go. So I guess 3 cans is a good guess, because that's how much it took, and I used them all up. Now I'll just let it sit overnight and dry, and then come back out tomorrow and think about it. There you go. So New Year's Eve today, so Happy New Year everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, here I am, New Year's Day 2023, and back with the project here. So the yesterday I did, wait, I'll turn this around. There we go. Yesterday I did finished up the welding and stuff the day before yesterday, and then I went and I just put primer on over all the bare metal everywhere, even like underneath and everything, so that it looks like there's some runs. There's a run right there, but I'm not worried about that at all, because that'll get covered up with Bondo or sanded off. So anyhow, I was thinking about going after all the seam sealing and all that kind of stuff, but that makes it all dusty and everything in here. So I'm going to see if I can get wheels on it now. Time to get wheels on the damn thing. Well, on the thing, not the damn thing, hey? It's a Volkswagen van, not a damn thing. Anyhow, we'll get wheels on it, and then perhaps we'll get a motor in it, and then we'll see what comes in the next step after that. Because the body work, as long as nothing's going to rust on it, I'm happy with the way it is. There is a couple of spots that I still have pending. There's one spot right back there. I'll get close up and show you that. It's just a bubble in the paint, so it might not be a serious thing. But then again, it might be a fairly serious thing. You never know with this van what'll happen. I'm stuck. There we are, here. So right here, there's a bubble in the paint there, and I think that one's just that's the way it should be. This one here, you can see the rust coming up though, so that's got to be addressed. There's another spot right there, but I think that's just a chip in the paint. Another spot right here at the bottom of this pillar, that it might be just, surface rust on it. I don't know for sure. I know it's rusted around in here. And another spot right here that I thought was okay, but it's not really. So I'll have a look at that. But I'm just going to leave that for now. I've had enough of dust and grime from welding. So now it's time to do some mechanical work on it. And I've been looking forward to doing that because I'm really curious about what's behind the front end here. And I do have a bunch of boxes full of parts that if I do the mechanical work, so here, I'll repeat myself. So I have boxes full of parts that if I do the mechanical work, I might get rid of them, and that'll make storage here much easier inside my little shop. Okay, that's all for that's a startup. We'll see what happens. Yeah, that's a couple hours cleaning stuff up around here. So that, if you didn't know that was blue in color, and this one here is black, it is. And then over on this, I cleaned off that, and I cleaned off this shelf over here. So I haven't seen the top of that for a long time. Anyhow, so now that I've changed tasks into mechanical stuff, they won't get so dusty. They won't be as dusty. Still more cleaning to do, but that'll get there someday. Yeah, now to start taking this stuff apart. Really don't know where to start, but you know what? I have a book here. So I'm going to take a read of the book and see what it says. Yeah, so interconnectedness of everything. So these 3 bolts here go right through, okay? And then this thing here is hooked on. I think I could likely pull that off without taking that off, but I want to take that off anyhow, put a new bushing in. Then this is the tie rod, and so it has to come out of there. I've got a tool for doing that. I'll put a bit of oil on there and see if I can get that nut off it. Then see what I can come up with. Yeah, so this thing here, noisy business happening now. That's everything there is pretty loose now, but this has got a rubber in there, right? And then on the other side of this rubber, I've got new rubbers, but there's this cup washer that goes like that, and the nut that goes like that on there. These 3 nuts here, they've got self-locking things on them. I think I have new nuts for them all, and bolts that go on the bottom of that right there. Now let's see if I can get this off. Yeah, so I have a little tool that sometimes gets these things out, but in this case not. So I'm going to, I think I have new tie rod ends anyhow, but when I get it back out of here and on the bench, I'll be able to have better control on getting that out of there. I've got a couple of tools, like the press will do it. Just put the press on it and press it out. For the meantime, I'll just take it out the tie rod. It twists freely inside the steering over there, so I just take it out here and that'll make that free. Then this thing here should just fall off of there. Famous words, should. We'll just see. Yeah, there you go. Actually, that tie rod end feels okay anyhow. Must be, likely it was fairly new 20 years ago. Now, these things here, I'm going to see if I can get those nuts to turn. I'll put some oil in there, see if that'll go down and allow them to turn. Once they turn, then this will come free, I think, because this thing here is not holding it. And now I've got to get the next thing after that, or before that, is to, before I release this, I'll get the brake caliper off it. That's undoing this bolt here or that nut there, and that's with my brand new wrench set that I bought, which I bought specifically for this. Yeah, so the brake caliper, right? So there's one bolt you get kind of from this side here. I don't know if you can see that big bolt there, and another one that you get from the other side, and they look like this. And they're in there. It took the impact driver wouldn't turn them. I had to put a pry bar on them to get them to start turning. Then I finished them off with the impact driver. But that's they're both out, and then all I've got is like a big screwdriver in there. See if I can pry that off. Yeah, and that'll come off. All right. Well, not all right, but it'll come off. A little bit of work. There, yeah. Oh. Anyway, I'll show you when I get it off. Yeah, there, got it off, and it's got new brake shoes, so I'll bet you those are new rotors also. Isn't that something? New brake shoes 20 years ago. Anyway, now I had this thing here wouldn't turn out, so I just cut it off of there. We'll get onto that later. Now I'll make sure I don't drop that on the floor and break it, and I'll get it cleaned up, and we'll take that apart see what likely get a rebuild kit for these. But I don't know what type it is yet, and there's 2 different types. This part here, I can just cut this hose here because it's not going to be used again. And then I'll see about getting that stuff there apart. Same thing up here. I'd like not to break this, but I think it's destined to be broken. Anyway, but it's coming apart. I'll get some oil on here now and maybe just let it soak overnight because it's pretty near supper time now. Anyway, that's so far following the instructions here. So we'll see what I can come up with. Yeah, that's pretty well it for today. Anyhow, I'll let the machine down. Turn off the lights. Let the machine down and come back at it again tomorrow. So, what do you do on New Year's Day, eh? Quality time with a Volkswagen bus. There you go. See you tomorrow. Yeah, here we are. It's Monday. It's January sometime. January 2nd. 2023. Back on to the what do you call this? The Volkswagen van, 1982 Westfalia. Now, I started yesterday working on the front end here, taking it apart. So I'll carry on with that today. I'll show you. Get this turned around, right? There. Down in here. Now, that's how far I got yesterday. I got the brake caliper off over here. And I discovered that, like, it's pretty well new shoes, or new, whatever you call these things. So I'll take them out and get them cleaned up. And then it will come apart. This part here wouldn't come out. Well, it will now, I imagine. But new brake lines are in order here. Anyway, we'll see what I can come up with on making brake line business. That'll be after a bit here. First off, I'll get this apart and put new bushings on, clean it up, and make it look good. Yeah, so now to get this hose out of the way, this nut here comes off, then hopefully this little bracket comes off of there. I'll see what happens. I'll get the nut off and tell you. Yep, indeed, that's what happened. Now this clamp and everything is free. I'll just see what I can do about getting all that stuff apart. Mostly I think it'll be cutting it apart. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to put this nut back on because, well, on loosely, because there's that spring there has got a lot of tension in it, I'm pretty sure. And if this thing here popped out of there, that would be interesting at the best parts and sad at the worst parts. So I'll just put it back on a few threads here, and that'll be good. Yeah, so though, where am I here? These 3 bolts, they just won't come out. And I tried turning them up above here. So, and I think I was going to break them, so good idea not to carry on with that. So what I guess I'd have to do is see if I can get this control arm free up here, right? Then remove this control, this anti-sway bar thing from here, which I want to do anyhow. Then I can undo it over there and drop it out. I hope. We'll see if I can get the spring out of there first. I'll see what happens here. Yeah, so here I am. Now, I did loosen off this. I tried getting I have a thing for doing ball joints, one of these things here. Of course it wouldn't go on there. But the bottom one, I loosened it out, and then I took the, what did I do? I took the nut up to the top here, level with the top. Then I hit it a couple of times with the hammer, and don't you know, it came right out. And this one here followed along. So that whole assembly here will fall off of there now, and the shock absorber is holding the spring. So I'll get this off of there, and then I'll attack the next part there, see what I can get happening. I think I can, I'll put a jack underneath this, loosen off the bolt up here, I guess, or the bolt at the bottom, one of the two, and then let it out slowly, and that should release the tension on the spring. We'll see what happens. Oh, that's a noisy thing. Anyhow, I got the nut off that in there, which holds the bottom of the shock, and that's holding the spring. So now I'll just get my jack and I'll lift it up so that it takes the pressure off of that, and then I'll see if I can get that bolt out of there. Number 22 is what it is. Yeah, so now there, that's what I lovingly call my transmission jack, which it's just a pole on top of the jack, and it's in there. Now I've got the pressure taken off here. I pumped it up enough that it just lifted this, and then I let it down back onto that here so that it's safe. Now get this bolt out of here. I'll see what happens, and then I'll lower it down and see what happens. Hopefully I've got enough play in there to make that happen. Maybe not. Maybe I better change it around a bit so that I gotta take the jack and make it so that I've got more play in it. So I'll change this configuration. Yeah, there now, that's out of there. So your guess is as good as mine as what's going to happen next year. We'll see what happens when I drop it, because this has got to drop out of there, and that thing there is holding it kind of. Don't know for sure what'll happen. So I'll see what happens. Yeah, here we go. See what happens here. So I've got this, I just loosen off this thing here, and that should come down some. I'll just do it slow. Thanks. There's a little bit of tension on that, eh? That seems to be all the tension gone. Yeah. Whoops, sorry. That seems to be all the tension gone there now. Now next, I might have to take off that end out there to be able to get this all off of here, because this is held on by this thing here, not wanting to let go. Unless I take a hammer to that for a bit, see what happens. What happens here is that, and that bushing is, don't know how that bushing works. Whether it's one-sided or two-sided, or, oh dear me. I guess it wouldn't hurt to give that a couple of taps and see what happens. Anyway, I think most of the pressure is off the spring, as far as I can tell, anyhow, because the shock's coming up out of there. Anyway, so now next, we'll see what I can come up with next year. Yeah, so now that, so far so good, right? That's all the tension's off the spring. I just gave a couple of gentle taps here on this thing, and it pushed through. So I think I have to next take this out of here to be able to get this thing to drop out fairly safely. So I'll get a wrench on there and see what happens. Better put a bit of oil on it, like right back there, eh? But this is not, there's no tension on this anymore. Well, a tiny bit of tension, but not enough to hurt anybody, I don't think. And this thing here, I still have the nut on here, so it's not going to just go gallivanting away there. These things here, I might not ever have to take them out. If I don't, well, that's fine, because it's if I take them out and ruin them, that'd be no good. They're just as well to stay right there where they are. See what happens. Yeah, now they're all ready to fall apart now. Springs off. Rubber thing comes with it. That rubber thing looks fairly new. And wait until I don't know where is I pointing there. So now I'll get that shock absorber out of there. I'll just put the spring down. The springs, as long as they're not broken, I'm happy with them. shock absorber is likely, it's not in bad shape. A little bit of leaking there, and you can hear a bit of air. Now this part here, see if I can get that to come all apart here. And otherwise it all looks like it's okay. How do you like that? Now, get these things apart. I don't know how to do that. I'll have to read the book. But there, interesting. There we go. I'll see what happens next. Not really sure how that comes apart, because it's got a don't know. Find out. And I'm not really sure how this comes apart either. Does that just hold that in there? Must. Yeah, that's the way that comes apart. I don't know if I have a new one of them or not. Don't know if I need a new one of them or not. Seems that some of this stuff is pretty good, eh? That one there seems to be pretty good. This stuff here, do you know? Like all the pieces up here look like they've been replaced sometime in the last 50 years, right? I'll put some oil on them and then I'll be able to get them out. Okay, carry on. Yeah, so the top of the shock absorber has got this little plastic cover on it, which surprised me. Anyhow, it just pops off, right? And then it's a 17 millimeter on the top here, and then there's a thing for holding, like you can hold it. And I've got this set of pliers here, that not really pliers, they're adjustable metrics, right? But they're like a vice grip thing on it, so you get it adjusted to the right size and then clamp down on it up there, and that holds it pretty good until you get it going. And then the wrench that's on the ground, right? Oh, there we go, up again. This wrench here. Oops. Take that off there, and then shock absorber. Yeah, I gotta hold it down here, see it's turning. Anyhow, two-handed operation, so I'll show you when I get it out. Yeah, so there now, that's how it fits in there. It's got the bolt on top, and then the plastic thing above that. And that comes off, right? Then this rubber washer, right? And then this bump stop here, or this collar goes on, it comes off, and it's got a bump stop inside there. And then here's your shock. So that's good. And I've got a new set of shock absorbers for it. I don't know if that's part of the shock absorber there or part of the... Or I have to get that off there. I'll check it out. Okay, here we are. I got this box full of parts. Now these things are the upper control arm bushings. Those are the bushings for the sway bar, right? Those are the bushings for the, what do you call it? Whatever it's called. That thing there. What is that called, I wonder? Lower control arm? Maybe. Yeah, lower control arm. And then that includes, this package includes the bushings for that thing that comes dropping off the sway bar. Then I've got, this would be upper ball joint. They call it a guide joint. And then that'd be tie rod ends, right? These are all the bushings for, well, where do they go? There's one set of bushings for the front in that right there, right? And then two sets for each of the rear control arms. And then this one here, this is your ball joint, which was on the bottom of it. So all those pieces are there, so I should try and get this apart. Now this part here comes with new bolts, so if I have to get them out with the grinder, that'll be all right. But I'll see if I can get this apart. I don't know yet how to do that, but I'm going to work on that. Okay, that's next on the agenda. Yeah, so that thing came out surprisingly easy. I don't know what goes on there. But anyway, this thing here has got a flat side to it, and it's got these concentric washers that go on there, and that's how you adjust the camber or caster. Be camber. How you adjust the camber on the front end is with this, by turning that one way or the other. So you loosen that bolt a bit, and then you get onto this end with a great big Allen key and turn it a bit to get the right camber adjustment. Am I pointing anywhere near to where I want to be? Somewhere up in here. And so those are like these circular washers fit in there, and then there's a flat side to this bolt here that makes it all work. And then these bushings here, I've got new ones of them. So they talk about grind off spot welds in the arrows. So I wonder if there's spot welds here to grind off. Maybe right there. Yeah, right there and right there. So you grind off those little spot welds and then press those things out of there. Okay, I can do that. Yeah, now a little bit of persuasion with the impact wrench, and these guys come out, but I have to sort of bash and bang that thing. To get that wrench back out of there, because you got to make sure that wrench is in there tight. Now I did put some heat to it, and I also put the what do you call that, the big impact wrench on it, and then the little one for just finishing it off. So this thing here will just pull it out of there. Once you get the and then it should just pop out, eh? Yep. Yeah, there it is. That's out. Now I've got a new one of these, but this one here is actually not in bad shape, and I didn't ruin it all. So this piece of rubber here goes on, and then this part here goes on. So I'll just, you know, I don't know. I guess I'll never ever use that again, but what the hell. So now that's off. Now the next thing is to get these things down here off. I got to do a little bit of grinding on that one weld spot. Yeah, here I've got it set up for getting this out of here. So this big old socket here rests on the edge. You can see this edge here, right? And then so I have to have a spacer to hold on to the other side, and hopefully it's fairly straight, because there it seems to be coming out. Then I just take it out to what's going on? It's going sideways, so that's no good. I'll have to take it apart and reset. Hang on. Yeah, there, I got it. I don't know how much of that I caught on film, but it's pushed through there now. That side there is pushed out pretty easy. This side here pushed through. So that's good. Now I'll release this and take it apart and have a look. Yeah, here I am now. Here's the lower control arm, is it? I don't know. Lower whatever it is. But it's in immaculate condition. Like there's not even a spot of rust on it anywhere. And very, very well preserved. So I'm gonna, like I've already taken this part here, the upper control arm, I've already, you know, cleaned it up and put a coat of black paint on it, because it's also, you know, like brand new condition. So I'm happy with that. So I'll give this one here a paint job. And I didn't get these bolts to come out of here because, well, they just won't come out. And if I try and get them out, I'm going to break them. They're already solid in there, so that's good enough for me. So I'll give this the $5 overhaul with the paint and see how it looks. Yeah, there we go. That's painted up, and I'll just leave it hanging overnight here. Same with that one over there. I'll leave it hanging overnight. So the whole thing can hang here overnight, and that's fine. Let me see. So that's it for today. Getting dark out. It is dark out. So I'll see y'all tomorrow, I hope. Bye for now. Yeah, so the last bit that has to come out from this side here is this sway bar here. So I have to get that off from the other side also, and then figure out how to get it out, get it off of there. And then get this rubber. Oh yeah, that just splits. Okay. Now, I undid the bolts, right? So there's a bolt, not at the bottom of this thing, right? And then it goes up. And there's two little bolts that hold on a bracket that looks like that is that thing there that holds this up against the body. Now I'll just take a hammer and give that a couple of whacks to see if it'll come free. I'll check in with you as soon as I get that done. Yeah, there I am getting way ahead of you. So here it is out of there, right? And I left my wrench on the floor here, as usual. Wrenches all over the place. So I'm going to do this passenger side, get it all put back together. Then I'll take apart the driver's side and put it all back together again so that it's well, reasonably easy to keep track of pieces. This one here, now I've got this this thing here for breaking, it's for making, what do you call that? Breaking away ball joints, eh? But it seems to work all right for pushing that thing through. So I'll get that pushed through and then I'll show you what the result is. Yeah, so that failed, but I did, I took the razor knife, right? Where's the razor knife? Only cut myself once. Took the razor knife and I cut off the inside edge. And then I was able to just pull that out of there. But when I was pulling it out, I whacked myself in the head. I don't know, right there, hurt. Wonder if it's bleeding. No blood this time. So now I'll just cut this off of here and we'll clean this up and I'll get the other end off, clean it up and paint it, and then see if I can get those new ones back on there. Yeah, this is the, what do you call that thing? The sway bar, right? So that's come apart. These pieces here came off of it. That one there looks like it's been repaired or something. And this part, this bushing part here is on there forever somehow or other. I don't know. Don't know how that got done like that, but it doesn't. This one here is in much better shape. They both seem to be about the same. Somebody did some serious work on that though, for whatever reason. I think likely because they had too big a washer to go on the top. So they had to build that up to make it so the washer would fit. And then of course this bushing pushed up in between. And oh dear, I don't know if I can get that off there or not. We'll see. But the task at hand is the clean off this thing here first. Yeah, so welding never ends. See, here's the way that it should look. It should be this. I gotta clean this up, but there should be this little washer on here. Might have to get a new one of them because that's pretty near wore through. Anyway, this little washer goes on right like that and sits against this thing here. This side here, the previous guys had done a bunch of welding in here to make a, I don't know why, maybe they lost that piece, and then there's the bushing here, they've got that permanently affixed on there. So, or the metal part to go to handle the bushing. So, anyway, I went and I decided that I'd clean it up as best I could, get the right distance from here to here, and then weld that onto it, and that's permanently on there now. So, we'll see how that works out, right? Now I'll clean them up and make them ready. They're clean now. I'll just make them ready, paint them up and make them look good. Yeah, so the new ones are a different new design and they don't need that bushing there. Oh dear, so now I'll have to, after all that, I'll have to get rid of that bushing and still need this part on here. But they did come with, the new ones came with new, like new washers and everything, or new spacers or whatever you call it, to go on there. So, what'll I do? Is that 2 or 1? 1. Anyway, now I gotta clean off, get that bushing cleared off of there somehow or other, without ruining stuff. How will I do that? I guess I'll give it a go. Yeah, so there it is, back the way it's supposed to be now. This new washer just slides on there and it's good. Now this part here, I could likely grind that. I think I'll grind that down a bit so that it's about the same as this washer here, just to make it so it doesn't look goofy in there. So they're both good now, and I'm happy with that. I should have looked and see what came with it first before I tried doing it, but I didn't. So there you go. What do you know, hey? There's all the pieces there. So anyway, kind of a short day today because that's all I have time for. I'll spray these pieces now with black paint before I go in, and they'll be painted up and dry tomorrow. Okay. I don't think I showed you how yesterday's paint job came out. Actually, they look pretty good. I don't have any complaints with that at all. This part here is exceptionally good shape, and I hope the other side is as good. Oh, okay, here I am. It's, what day? Wednesday, maybe? Maybe Wednesday. Don't know. I think it's Wednesday. Anyhow, the back on the Volkswagen with Westfalia and working on the front end bits. Hang on, I'll get this turned around. There we go. So this is all out and the control arm's out, and I've got it painted. These ones here just wouldn't come out of there, even though I do have new bolts for there, but they just wouldn't come out, so I'm not gonna try any harder. I could drill them out, but what for? Because they're in there solid now, and that's good enough for me. So that stuff's all ready to go, right? Now these things here, like this is hangs off the control arm, right? And it's got to have that rubber bushing in there. So I hope I'm doing this in the right order anyhow. Don't know whether this should go on to that first and then push those things onto it, but I guess I could push it out, and we'll try it this way first. So this thing here just goes here, and put a bunch of like light lubricant on it, WD-40 in this case. And then I'll put it in the vise and just squeeze it together. I'll show you when I get it about half done. There, that's about halfway in there now, and you just take the vise and squeeze it the rest of the way in, and then it sort of pops out. Pops out the other end by itself. We hope. Yeah, there it is. See, it popped through. So there, that's on. Now a matter of getting them squeezed onto that thing there, and the right way around, eh? Yeah, so I'm putting in these new bushings. They just, they look like this. Where is it? Looks like that, right? And it slides in. So I've got it sort of set up here, going reasonably straight. See how it works out. I think it'll fit in all right. they seem to, yeah, that sorts it out when you get it up tight. So that's good, that's done. I was doing that because I've just painted these two things here to put that control arm back on there, and I'll let that dry. So I'll get these in and get the piece that goes on there, and then we'll just see where we go next. Yeah, here I've got these things ready to go, and I've got some, this white grease on those two washers in there that are concentric washers to make it so you can adjust the camber on it. And then it says in the book to put a spot weld on each side of this thing. There was a spot weld on there before, and then to hold it to keep them from twisting or turning in there, and then that's done. Then you bolt it together. Now I get my camera all covered with grease here. So this thing here, you see it's got that like a flat side to it. That goes into those concentric washers that are on the side there, and makes it so that you can adjust the washers. But it says in the book to to know when it's that side to the back is where you should install it to start. And so I put a mark on here so I know when that side's to the back, and then I'll be able to tell where it goes from there. Yeah, so there now I've got that. See that white mark there? That means that the the flat part is at the back of the thing, back of the stroke there. And then it's tightened up, and nothing is like it won't. It's only the bushings moving, which is right, and they're welded on the right way they're supposed to be. So I had it on there first time. I hadn't welded them, so I went and read the book because it didn't feel right. It felt like it was moving, and then that's when I made that mark on there so I'd be able to tell if it's in the right spot. And it seems everything's okay now. So I'll put on this piece here, which is the upper ball. I'll call it an upper ball joint, but they call it a guide joint in the book, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, there's the book. The book tells you all about it. Everything you wanted to know plus more. Yeah, so here, upper control arm is what I was working on, right? And this part here, right here, upper ball joint. Oh yeah, well that's the upper ball joint. Well, there you go. On the box here, it's called something different. Yeah, that's where I saw a different name. Guide joint, it's called on the box, but that's the upper control arm, and it comes with new bolts, so everything's good. Anyway, there we go. I'll get this installed. Yeah, that's pretty simple. This comes with like this little plastic cover comes off it when I'm ready to get it all installed, but I'll leave it on there until I finish messing with it. And then these two bolts, they take a, what size is that? Whatever size it is. 5/16. 5/16 Allen key seems to get it all right. And what's this thing here? This is a metric 14 millimeter Allen key for that one right back in here. And then those ones, these two here, I just put a bit of Loctite on them so that they won't be coming loose on me. So there, that's good. Next, I'll see if I can get this piece here on. It's got a new bolt, a new nut there. And this one here, I've left it alone because that's where it was originally, and I've got a new nut for that, but that one there is in pretty good shape, so I haven't done anything to it. There, my camera's making weird stuff to me. But I do have a new nut for it right here. Wonder if I should see if I can get that one off and put the new one on. Maybe I'll do that. What the hell, eh? Yeah, so here's the Loctite stuff. It's Permatex Thread Locker, it's called. And medium strength. The blue stuff is medium. The red stuff, I think, is strong. And there's color codes to it. There must be another color, too. Anyway, I'll see what I can do about this thing here, because I also have to put in a bushing on there. Yeah, there. Now, those two big washers, they go on here. I've got the new nut on here, and I marked it with a little bit of white paint, or white, what do you call that stuff? Whiteout. Wipeout. And those, so the nut goes here, that big washer goes there, then a bushing, and then another big, then goes into the car, another bushing, and then another big washer, and then another nut. And the other nut is a nylock nut, so I'll just stick it on there for now, so I know where it is. Whoop, there, pointing the right way here. And then this thing here, like it's a split bushing, so that'll go in reasonably easily, I hope. But I'll do that tomorrow because quitting time now. Time to go have supper. Anyway, that's a little bit of progress today, even though I was late starting. And I'll get this side put back together here, and then I'll take the other side apart. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to get those rubber things onto the end of that big pole there, but what I think I'll do is I'll mount the pole in the car so that I know which way it's going to put this bottom thing on, which is on the vise here, and then mount the pole in the car, or the pole stabilizer. Yeah, stabilizing bar. Yeah, stabilizer bar. Then I'll know which way the those things are supposed to hang on it, because I'd hate to get them on and have them backwards, eh? Okay, there we go. Yeah, here I am, back at it. It's, what is it, Thursday, all of a sudden. December 5, maybe? Maybe it's December 5th. Oh, sorry, January 5th, 2023, only a month off, or a year off, whatever. Anyway, here I am back with the Volkswagen, and today I'm on this control arm, lower control arm, right? And I've got the new nuts and bolts up here, and I've cleaned up these ones here so they look good again. Hang on, I gotta swing this camera around. There, now I know where I'm pointing. So I've cleaned up these ones here and painted them. And then I've also got these two holders here for the anti-sway bar cleaned up and painted. And these parts here cleaned up and painted. I haven't decided what to do about that yet. Whether I'll likely grind off some of this big circle thing, just because. I'll get after that right away. Yeah, but the first thing on the list today is put the bearing, or the bushing, which is in this case here is a split bushing, into there. There's the two halves, and they just slide in, and it comes with a new bolt and everything right there. A new bolt, right? So that's, now I think what I'll do is I'll get a C-clamp. I have a big enough C-clamp, I think, to fit over the end and just push it in there. We'll just see. Yeah, not very easy to get in there, but it's in there now and going down sort of straight. I think the next one will be easier because I'll put the centerpiece in and get it to go over the centerpiece and straight down that way. But you got to get this lined up just right, or else it just won't go in. And now it's going in fine. Like that's gonna get right to the end of it, which is good. Likely I can pull the other one in with a bolt. And I put a bit of oil on it so it'll go down easier. Okay, that one's in, and I'll get on to the next one. Yeah, now I hope I've got that pressed in all the way now with these, to get these rubber shoulders up to the right spot so that it'll fit inside the car over here. Now the next time I do one, I'll put that white grease all over everything, because this thing here was a job and a half. It took me an hour to get that thing in there, and a lot of up and down and back and forth. I can do it likely better than that, but experience is a great learner, right? Yeah, so there, that's back in where it's supposed to be. Now, how did I do that? Well, I think I've got lots of room. I can get the spring in there. That's my next chore, I suppose. But I have to clean that spring up and paint it first. Anyway, this part here, it's got a thing here, what do you call that? Oh, give me a light. Give me a light. Where's a light? Here's a light. So this part has got a new bumpy thing there, whatever you call that. And I'm pretty sure that's the way that's supposed to be. Hang on. I hope I don't have it backwards. Yeah, so that's the way it's supposed to be with the hoopy things out. That's what I thought. And not the hoopy things in. Don't know why, but I guess that's so it can squish up against the rubber there without and move back and forth up and down, right? That's why. So it doesn't cup the rubber, it rides the rubber. And then on this side here, and then there's inside there's a metal bushing. Wait, I'll get the other one out, show you. Hang on. Where's the other one? Over here. So this is what it looks like. So that side here, which is towards the car, I put this goes through the little metal holder there on the car. And then inside in the middle, there's this metal bushing. And that goes through there like that. And that other piece comes right into there. So that it's got just a little crack there to go through the body of the car. And then it's supposed to tighten down, I guess, just as tight as you can onto that metal bushing. So, but I'm not going to tighten it down yet. I'll just give it a little bit of a snug. I won't tighten it down until I'm ready to tighten up everything. Anyway, that's, where's my light? Here it is. That was quite a bit of work to get all that done, but there it is back in. So we can be happy with that. And it goes like that. So I'll just leave it on there loose for now, and I'll tighten up this side a little tiny bit, but not much. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, there, I think I finally got a rig that'll put this on here. So I got a couple of big bolts. I got this clamped in the vise. Then a couple of big bolts on it in here that I've got clamped into the vise. Well, they sort of like washered in up and down. And that makes that kind of centered. And then if you're real careful with it and hold your tongue right, the thing seems to be going on there. So I'll just see what I can do about it. I'll let you know if I get it done. Yeah, well, now look at that. It worked, and I've got it the right way around. Now I've got to see about getting the other side on, and then I'll put it up in place somehow or other. That will be a challenge also. Anyhow, that's coming up soon. Yeah, side 2 always goes easier than side 1, I hope. Yeah, so I put these bolts in here and I just sort of tighten them down onto the washers, right? Then, next, I've got this gear pulling deal. Call it a deal. Don't know what the hell you really call it. But it's a gear pulling kit, and it's got a bunch of different parts in it. So in this case, I've chosen these parts here. And I've got, wait till I show you here. I don't know. Like there's that little washer there and a 30mm socket. And I just put that down in there. This has got like a pointy end on it that sits into it. This goes on this way, right? This goes on here. This goes in here. And sort of just hold it all, a little bit of pressure on it whilst I put it all together, which is always upside down and backwards and sideways and everything like that. And I got a bunch of grease on that, so it slides around like a greased pig, really. Yeah, there, that's all. Yay, finally together. That was a bit of a chore. Now this one here is, I did go ahead and grind down that big old washer that I had on here, so I'll put a bit of paint on that before I finish everything. And oh well, that's the way it's supposed to be. I'll put that in and make sure that it fits in here okay. Then the steering arm is supposed to go underneath it there, so I think like that. I'll find out. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, I'll have a look. We'll straighten out the steering arm so that it's the right way here. Yeah, there I've cleaned off that spring pretty well. And I wire brushed it all and then went over it with that solvent to clean off any solvent left over. And then I'm going to just put a coat of red paint on it. So I like red springs. Yeah, there we go. Nice red spring. We'll wait and see how it looks tomorrow when it's dried out. Anyway, that's all for today. And it's Thursday today, so yeah, so I'll get another day in tomorrow. Actually, slow but steady progress on this stuff. Once I'll get the spring in here tomorrow, and then I'll do some work on that thing there because I have a new backing plate for the brake. So I'll get this off of here and clean it up and get this lower ball joint out of it and put the new one in. And I don't have new bearings for this side, so for the front. So I'll see if I can salvage the ones that are in there, see how they look anyhow. I got a feeling they'd be pretty good because all these other parts are pretty new on the front end. So I don't know that there's many miles on the bearings. So anyhow, that's all I have for today. Yeah, there I am. That's me. I'll see you tomorrow sometime. Bye for now. Yeah, so here's where I left yesterday off with a painted spring. That looks pretty good, that spring. So it's got to go back in here. I think that's next on my list. I did get this back on after, I think that's on, I'll put that on fast forward because that's took a long time to do something fairly simple. So now next is the spring goes on. This goes down and that goes up to get the spring on. That doesn't go up. Only this goes down. So we'll see if I can. Well, there you go. The wire let go. I'm glad it didn't let go when it was wet. Hey, oh well. Anyway, onward and onward. We'll start putting it back together again here. Yeah, so now to get this thing extended down, because that rubber thing there is holding it fairly tight. I've got this, whatever you call that thing. And it's most of the way now, just a little bit more. Hopefully it'll not break off of there, because it's a little bit precarious, that thing. Very, very slow moving though. You really can't even tell it's moving. Well, you sort of can. Anyhow, that's like watching paint dry. I'll see if I can get it up there and I'll let you know as soon as I do. Yeah, there, my lucky day. It all went up in there correctly. Now this thing here, I can't bolt it into there until such time as I do the other side. So it'll move up and down. But that's okay. There's new kind of bushings on here, and they're fiber bushings and new washers and everything like that. The old one had rubber bushings with a sleeve inside. This one just has a 2 fiber bushings that fit tight. Then, same thing with the bushings that go in the back there. They're fiber bushings and they're cut in half, so you put in half at a time. Now, next thing is I put the shock absorber up to here and see if I can get the nut on it. And then I'll take my, what do I call that thing? I call it my transmission hoist. And I'll put it on here and see if I can lift this up. Okay, that's coming up. There, now the shock absorber's in there, and the bump stop and stuff like that, I took and cleaned that off with a wire brush. The spring looks good, Brad, right? Now I'll take my, I've got that just screwed on lightly out there. I'll screw it on a couple more screws. And then I'll take my jack and see if I can get this lifted up into a spot where it's supposed to be. Yeah, so here now I'm starting to compress the spring. That's seated right in the correct place right there. Now, and I've got to go maybe another ½ an inch before it's seated in there. And that's the rig right there. So I've got my 12-ton jack, right? Now you got to be careful that you don't put too much pressure and lift it off the lift up here, right? So just enough pressure on it to make it go up. We'll just jack it up a little bit at a time here. And keep an eye on that so that we're not going into it, right? Getting pretty close. Another ½ an inch maybe. See if I think we're pretty damn. I'll look through here and see if I can see through that, eh? I don't know if I can or not. Wait a minute, I'll look. I think I need a light. Yeah, so I just see the bottom of the shock absorber coming to the edge of that hole there. So give me another minute, I'll get it lined up. No, everything's in my head here. Can't really see very well, not much light in there. Wait a minute, I'll get a light. There, you see the shock absorber thing is there. I'll just see if I can get a bolt through it now. Hang on. Yeah, there, I've got the bolt in that far now. It just has to, I need to get my eyes, of course. There. Get it, I'll just take a hammer and give it a little bit of a pound to straighten it out and come out this side, or I might be able to just twist it around by hand here. I'll give it a go, see what comes up. See what happens here. Hang on. There, that came through. Now just, if I can get the nut on there and the washer on there. The washer is the hard part. The nut I can put into a, when I'm looking at the back of a nothing here. There, the washer's on. Now I'll put the nut in a socket holder and an extension and get it on there. Hang on. Yeah, there now. I tightened that up and I put a little bit of Loctite on that bolt in there so that it'd be good and solid. This one up here, I tightened this down before I wanted to, I've got it tightened down before I want to take the other thing apart. I guess that's the way it's supposed to be, yeah. And sometimes these things just amaze me, the way that they go together here, but I guess that's the way it is right there. It's right. Anyway, now this thing here, I'll drop it down to take the pressure off the spring, and the babbling to myself there. Sorry. I'll take the pressure off the spring and I'll allow this thing to come down, and the shock absorber will hold the spring together, the assembly there. So I'll just do that right now. Here we go. See what happens. One never knows what's going to happen here. There. That's all together there. Yay. And this is in the right spot. The rubber bump is on the top of it, the way it's supposed to be. It looks like it's supposed to be like that. That looks good, right? This part here, I've never done one of these before, so it's just amazes me how things go together here. I think I'll check the other side, see if it looks the same as that, because the other side I haven't taken apart, right? can't really see up in there because it's all, I guess that looks the same up there as it does on the other side. Okay, so now what's next on my agenda? I'm thinking here on my feet. I'll let you know what's next on my agenda as soon as I figure it out. Now this part here, this is the forward control arm. I don't know. Lower control arm. I don't know. No, this is a control arm. I don't know what this stabilizer arm. That's a stabilizer arm. That thing there. So it's got the rubber bushing there. It's got the rubber bushing on the other side, and I went ahead and tightened that all down. Now I see that I should have cleaned that off a little bit better before I put that all together. Maybe I'll pull it apart and clean it off again. I do have a new bolt for that. I've got a couple of new bolts. That's derelict of me, isn't it? I promised to do better on the other side, I guess. Wait a minute, I'll see what I can come up with there. Yeah, there, I took the wire wheel to it and cleaned it all off and then gave it a good dose of that white grease. And then I'll put it back, put the pieces back in. I wonder where I put them. Sometimes I'm my own worst enemy. Oh yeah, public enemy number one. Here I am. So here's the piece here. Goes on the bushing. This part here is bolted on, and then that fiber washer is likely okay for this application. Oh, sorry, I'm looking in the wrong. Looking all over the place, right? There it goes. Now I'll get the impact driver and put it on there. This will be noisy, hey? Here you go. There, and that goes right up against that bushing so that everything's tight in there, right? And that's how it's supposed to be, just like that. Unfortunately, I couldn't put any of that grease in here. On the other side I will, but I think some of it will migrate through because I put it in the in-betweens. Anyway, there we go. That's good. Yeah, there now. What I think I'll do is get the other side about the same as what this side is. And then I can tighten this part in once that other side's done up that far. Then I'll worry about getting the wheel bearings and all that stuff. I'm not going to do anything with the what do you call that thing, the steering rack right now. If I have to in the future, I'll take it out and work on that, but well, you never know what I'll do for sure, because I don't know if I have bushings for that. I might have bushings for that, who knows. We'll check it out. Well, if I have bushings, I'll take it off. If not, I won't. Yeah, so this side here, this is the speedometer cable, right? This side here, I'll take this apart first, and that'll relieve some pressure up here. Then pull off the rest of this stuff here. That can go out of the way. And see if I can remember how I did it on the other side, right? You never know. We'll see. But it should all come apart. Now I'm thinking this thing here is the end of the speedometer cable. So I'll see if I can just, that's got a circlip on it there of some sort, so I'll pull that off and see if I can pull that speedometer cable out of there. Not really sure how it's held in, but just likely by that pressure. See what happens here. Yeah, so simple instructions in the book, right? Release the thing on the end of the speedometer cable, right, which I did, and then just pull it out of this rubber, right? But this outer covering on the speedometer cable is completely sealed to that rubber. Then it broke and pulled free, but then the end piece won't come out because it's too big to get past that rubber. with the sleeve in there. So I think I'm just kind of screwed here. Might have to just cut this, I guess, because I think it's done for anyhow. Oh, I hate to do that though. I'll think about it for a little bit before I do anything drastic like that. Yeah, there it's out of there now, and it wasn't pretty because it that rubber seal and all this stuff here was stuck behind it. So I think when you put it together, you put it up and pull the rubber seal in behind it, kind of idea. Here's the rubber seal here, so I think I'll need a new one of them and a new speedometer cable. There you go. Well, I guess worst things in the life have happened. Anyway, that's out of there now, so now I can start taking stuff apart here. And I'll worry about that speedometer cable at a later time. Now I'll start taking this apart, if I can remember how. First I'll take off this thing here, which was where I was starting before I got waylaid by a... So I'll take off that nut there and pull this apart. That'll give it some freedom down here. Now I can try again. I don't know that this one will come apart either, because it's been in there forever, right? So we'll see. Yeah, not much left of this bushing. It's had much better days. Well, anyway, later. Yeah, there. Now I got the brake caliper off of it after about an hour of work to get that out of there. So this is an hour of work to get this broken. I could have broke it right away. An hour of work, I didn't break that, so that's good. But the brake caliper's down right here. And again, the shoes are new, but I might have to get new ones again because these ones here look like they might be all rusted on the back, and I'll get those brakes apart soon. And then, but first I'll get this stuff here apart. There now, I've got that unhooked up there, right? Bolted out. The bolt out of up there, or the nut off it up and top, and the nut off and down to the bottom. The bottom one took an awful lot of doing to get that out. I had to turn the well, I'll turn it. Hang on, I'm looking the wrong way, right? So I turned it around like that. That's the same way I finally got an impact wrench onto this for the, well, I got a big wrench onto that for these things were solid in there, those bolts that hold the brake caliper on, both of them. All the stuff on this side of the car was rusted more than on the other side of the car. So we'll see when I get this apart what it looks like. Then this thing here, when I loosened that, this bolt fell down, and it has a thing here to hold on to it, but then of course it was all jammed up and blah, blah, blah. So I pushed it back in with my transmission lifter so that it's tight against the, like it's a tapered bolt in there or a tapered edge, make it tight against there, and that'll hold it. And then I was able to work it back and forth. I tightened it down the bolt with an impact driver, and then I was able to zoom it back out again and put some oil and some heat to it, and eventually it came off of there. Yay. So now I'm going to just remove this tie rod end, same as I did with the other side, except that it keeps on turning that bit around. Maybe a bit of oil there would help. Anyway, I'll get this tie rod end off of here, the same as I did on the other side. That's maybe moving easier now. Looks like it's new, this thing's new. There, that's off. Then, now this thing here should all drop out of there. I'll see what happens if I let the pressure off of here now. Nothing. But I think a little bang of a hammer will make that happen. So happens there's a hammer right here. Now this one up on top might have to get the, I've got a tool for that, but this one in the bottom is just falling out of there, so that's good. Wonder what that was. That's out of the end of my hammer. Yep. A wedge from the end of my hammer. Okay, I'll see if I can get that to come apart with my tool. I'll see if I get the tool into there. Ah, there you go. I'll let you know when I'm getting it done. Well, there now. That's out of there. I put it back down over here, right? Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, so take two. There it is, right there. Came off. This one here feels like it's not much left to it, but I don't know what it's supposed to feel like.
And then in here, where am I? Up here. This part here, I'm prepared to take apart now. The rest of it. First off, I'll get the spring out of there and stuff like that. But that is for next week because Friday, don't you know? And time to shut it down for the day. Past 5 o'clock. Working overtime. So, shut off a few lights here. Anyhow, the what did I get done this week? Was mostly, well, first off I went and I cleaned up all the paint, all the metal around, and got all that rock guard off. Then I put a coat of, just a coat of primer on there just to, you know, keep it from getting rusty, right? Then, after that I went and took apart this front end here, cleaned up all the stuff, put in new bushings, and now it's all back together except for the wheel hub assembly, which that's going to be for next week. So next week I'll get after the other side, make it look like this, and then do the wheel hubs, we'll hope. Might even get the rear trailing arms on next week, but you never know. This stuff is pretty slow and tedious. Anyhow, hope you enjoyed it all. And if you come around next week, we'll see some more. That's it for the 1982 Westfalia van. See if that'll turn around. Yeah, there you are. That's me. So that's it for the 1982 Westfalia van, and we'll see you next week, I hope. Bye for now. Yeah, here we are. New Year's Eve. Heading to the beach. My helper with me. He'll catch up. Yeah, there he goes. Well, doesn't get too far ahead. Anyway, not a bad day for December 31st, 2022. There was ice on there the other day. It's all melted off now because it's been raining overnight and 4 or 5 degrees centigrade. So that's, in USA terms, that's about 40 degrees or 42 degrees or something like that. So, pretty nice day today. No wind. Yeah, another tough day at the beach. Me and Barney. Barney and I? That's better grammar, right? There you go. Anyway, Happy New Year's to all. And may it be healthy and prosperous. There you go. Bye for now.